An anti-ship missile is a guided missile that is designed for use against ships and large boats. Most anti-ship missiles are of the sea-skimming variety, and many use a combination of inertial guidance and active radar homing. A good number of other anti-ship missiles use infrared homing to follow the heat that is emitted by a ship. It is also possible for anti-ship missiles to be guided by radio command all the way. The first anti-ship missiles, which were developed and built by Nazi Germany, used radio command guidance. The Henschel HS-293 was a World War II German radio-controlled glide bomb with a rocket engine slung underneath it that boosted the bomb in front of the launching bomber in order to make it more visible to the bomb aimer. These saw some success in the Mediterranean theater in 1943-44, sinking or heavily damaging at least 31 ships. During the Cold War, the Soviet Union turned to a sea denial strategy concentrating on submarines, naval mines and the anti-ship missile. One of the first products of the decision was the SSN-2 Styx missile. Further products were to follow, and they were soon loaded onto the Soviet Air Force's Tu-95 Bear and Tu-22 Blinder bombers. In 1967, the Israeli Navy's destroyer Eilat was the first ship to be sunk by a ship-launched missile. A number of Styx missiles launched by Egyptian Comer-class missile boats off the Sinai Peninsula. In the Indo-Pakistani War of 1971, the Indian Navy conducted 2 raids using Osa-class missile boats employing the Styx on the Pakistani naval base at Karachi. These raids resulted in the destruction or crippling of approximately 2/3 of the Pakistani Navy. Major losses included 2 destroyers, a fleet oiler, an ammunition ship, approximately a dozen merchant ships and numerous smaller craft. Major shore-based facilities, including fuel storage tanks and naval installations, were also destroyed. The Osas returned to base without loss. After decades of rapid innovation, the end of the Cold War and the subsequent global war on terror all but halted anti-ship missile development in the West. A focus on land operations in the Middle East and Central Asia sent Western navies struggling for relevance. As rising tensions between nations, ship-to-ship naval warfare is back. And with it, the need to reach out and sink enemy ships. A new generation of anti-ship missiles are on the horizon. Stealthy, supersonic and autonomous, these missiles are adept at evading defenses and hunting individual ships. Let's look at some of the more interesting anti-ship missiles, both deployed and in development. BrahMos missile. Named after the Brahmaputra and Moscow rivers, the BrahMos anti-ship missile is a joint Indian-Russian program. Developed through the 1990s and early 2000s, BrahMos is one of the few anti-ship missiles built during this time. It is currently in service with the Indian Armed Forces. BrahMos is the fastest low-altitude missile in the world. The missile has 2 stages. The first, consisting of a solid fuel rocket, accelerates BrahMos to supersonic speeds. The second stage, a liquid-fueled ramjet, accelerates it to Mach 2.8. The missile reportedly flies as low 10 meters above wavetops, making it what's known as a sea skimmer. It has a range of about 290 kilometers. The missile is extremely versatile, capable of being carried by surface ships, land-based anti-ship missile batteries, and aircraft such as the Indian Air Force's Su-30 MKI. The air-launched version has a longer range of 500 kilometers. A submarine-based version is under consideration but has not been developed due to lack of interest. BrahMos packs a considerable punch. Land and ship-based versions are armed with a 200-kilogram warhead, while the aircraft version has a 300-kilogram warhead. Even without a warhead, at Mach 2.8 BrahMos would impart tremendous kinetic energy on its target. BrahMos uses its high speed, stealthy design, and sea-skimming capability to evade enemy air defenses. The missile's speed of Mach 2.8 translates to 952 meters per second. Assuming the radar is mounted at a height of 20 meters, BrahMos will be detected at a range of 27 kilometers. This leaves the radar with just 28 seconds to track, illuminate and shoot down BrahMos before it impacts the ship. LRASM missile. The LRASM is a stealthy anti-ship cruise missile developed for the United States Air Force and United States Navy by the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. The current missile, Harpoon, was introduced in 1977. One of the best ASMs of the Cold War, Harpoon has aged into a mediocre missile unable to incorporate the latest technological advances. The Long-Range Anti-Ship Missile, or LRASM, is a leading candidate to replace it. LRASM is a variant of the U.S. Air Force's JASSM cruise missile and shares many of its design features. Built by Lockheed Martin, JASSM is jam-resistant and stealthy, with a range of 500 miles. JASSM is designed to autonomously detect and attack targets based on an uploaded profile. It can deliver a 1,000-pound penetrating warhead to within 3 meters of the target, and is capable of being carried by most U.S. Air Force strike aircraft. LRASM takes a different tack from missiles such as BrahMos. Instead of achieving high Mach numbers to make the missile more survivable against air defense threats, the subsonic LRASM uses stealth and autonomous decision-making to evade shipboard defenses. LRASM will identify high-value targets on its own and home in on them. LRASM should be expected to have a range similar to JASSM compared to the existing Harpoon's 67 miles. LRASM's estimated 500-mile range will considerably enlarge the engagement range of the U.S. Navy's air and ship platforms. Unlike Harpoon, LRASM fits in both the Mk-41 vertical launch system silos of the Ticonderoga-class cruisers and Burke destroyers and the Mk-57 silos on the new Zumwalt-class destroyers. This will allow individual ships to carry many more anti-ship missiles than ever before, although this will impact the number of other missiles, such as the SM-6 surface-to-air missile and ASROC anti-submarine rockets, in the ship's overall inventory. ZASM-3 missile. Japan's strictly defensive military doctrine has driven a requirement for smaller ASMs to arm ships, aircraft and ground batteries. Japan has designed and produced 2 generations of anti-ship missiles fitting this profile, but the 3rd generation will likely be a radical departure from past designs. ZASM-3 is an anti-ship missile currently under joint development by the Government of Japan's Technical Research and Development Institute and Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, MHI. Although relatively little is known about the missile at this point, if put into production it will represent a considerable leap over the Japan Self-Defense Force's existing capabilities. ZASM-3 will be a hypersonic missile, a solid-fueled rocket with integrated ramjet operating at speeds of up to Mach 5. The missile is designed to be stealthy. Like BrahMos, ZASM-3 will use speed to limit the enemy's reaction and engagement time. Using the same engagement parameters as BrahMos, ZASM-3 will allow defenders only a 15 seconds reaction time. ZASM-3 has both active and passive integrated seekers. The missile weighs 1,900 pounds, with warhead size currently unknown. It is expected to have a range of 120+ miles. The missile will be carried by Japan's indigenous F-2 fighter. Other possible carriers are the Kawasaki P-1 maritime patrol aircraft and Japan's F-35A fighters. ZASM-3 will most likely not fit inside the internal weapons bay of the F-35 and would have to be carried externally, making the F-35 easier to detect. Development of the ZASM-3 began in 2002, and is expected to end in 2016, 6 years overdue. At that point, MHI will need to decide if it wants to create a production missile. Should ZASM-3 go into production, it's possible it will be cleared for export to friendly countries. Naval Strike Missile. A new anti-ship missile designed by Norway's Kongsberg, the Naval Strike Missile is touted by the company as the world's first 5th-generation anti-ship missile. NSM utilizes a rocket booster for initial launch, after which it transits to a turbofan engine. The missile is a sea skimmer, appearing to travel less than 10 meters above the wavetops in videos. Speed is unreported but likely high subsonic. Kongsberg touts the missile as fully passive, meaning it does not use active sensors to track targets. NSM does not emit infrared or radar waves that could be detected by enemy ships. Weighing in at 410 kilograms, NSM is smaller than other missiles on this list. The missile has a range of 185 kilometers and carries a 125 kilogram warhead. NSM is currently in service with the Norwegian Navy's Skjold-class missile boats and Fridtjof Nansen-class destroyers. NSM is also operated by the Polish Army as coastal artillery.